Walking is one of those activities that most of us take for granted, and it is not until you lose the capacity to walk in some shape or form that you realize how essential it is to your self-esteem, your sense of function, you name it. Whether it's something like pain or injury that limits you with walking, or a progressive loss of strength and coordination through some kind of a neurological condition, you still tend to take it for granted until, boom, something happens, then gradually you start to lose it. How you cope with it will vary. It depends on which doctors you see, which physical therapists they send you to, whether you go more of a holistic route. Whatever you do, it'll be different depending on any person's approach. From a Tai Chi and a Feldenkrais approach, we're going to look at walking more in a holistic sense, and we're going to work on self-awareness as one of the primary means of developing an improved walking pattern. So I've shown in lessons about how you can connect with the hip joint. Other lessons I've shown movements in the shoulder and the scapular joint. Loosening exercises, right? You can see a loosening exercise like this would look like walking. Anything that improves your sense of self-awareness can improve your walking, right? So if we just start with your arms and you make your arms more tense so that when you move them, you don't allow them to rotate, you can sense how that tension in your arms feels unnatural, and it affects the rest of your body as well. So as you allow the arms to rotate, they rotate out a little bit as they go forward, and they rotate in a little bit as they go backwards. Right? So as you allow for the natural rotation to occur, then the arm swing would feel more natural. But 9 times out of 10, I see folks who are 65 years and older primarily. There's a lot of stiffness patterns. Sometimes there's neurological issues. So when people are walking, you don't necessarily see that natural rotation in the arms, and you don't see that natural rotation in the chest. You don't see it in the hips. Sometimes what you see is a wider base of support because the people feel imbalanced and they don't want to fall. But as soon as you spread your feet a little bit wider, what happens is you start to move into a pattern like this, and you start to lose some of that natural rotation. So let's just kind of step back and think of your walking as just a broader picture, instead of reducing it to some part of the skeleton or some way that the muscles are performing, but just think of it as a broader pattern. And it's something that you've done since you were very young. And over the course of your life, there have been events, psychological and physical events, some of them traumatic, that have shaped and conditioned the way that you're walking today. Right? So if you can appreciate that your walking is an embodiment of everything that you've experienced in life, then you can see that there's potential to transform how you're behaving today. You may not get to where you want to be, right? For example, myself with the arthritis in my foot, I can't walk for 20 miles without expecting to have severe pain in the foot. but I can still find ways to walk more comfortably, right? And that's where you have to kind of set your horizons. So let's just start with some general movement to get the middle of yourself rotating a bit. Just do like 4 or 5 circles and then change the direction. And just get a sense that as you make these circles, you feel your feet, you feel your ankles, a little bit in the knees, the hips, change direction. You feel the lower back, the middle back, the upper back, shoulder blades. Change direction. You feel the hands, elbows, everything moves a little bit, even the fingers. All right, so it's whole body movement. Switch it into this loosening rotation pattern. And again, you feel your feet, you feel your ankles, you feel your knees, you feel your hips, you feel your lower back, your middle back, your upper back, and start to face forward so that your shoulders turn under your head so that your head can differentiate from your shoulders and your chest. Right? And come to rest and feel that your neck can be more free if you can turn your shoulders free of your head. Right? So appreciate that if your head always goes with the torso, you're more tense in the neck and the upper back, right? And of course, that's going to influence your walking, right? Because then you're going to tend to keep your shoulders still, right? Everywhere you turn, your head is going to go. So this is an important principle that Feldenkrais spoke about, is the ability to differentiate your shoulders from your head. Hands on the waist if you're comfortable. You could go in front like that if you're not comfortable with that. It's all good. Just going to turn the head. Only doing what's comfortable. Right? You turn your head, you notice your neck. But you also notice your chest and your shoulder blades. And you may feel further down the middle and the lower back. Now scratch the back of your head and just sense the back of your head. Right? You touch it, you feel the back of your head. Turn your head with your awareness on the back of your head and feel the difference with the awareness on the back of your head. If you put the awareness on your nose, feel the difference. The main difference, I'm going pretty quick for you to perhaps feel this, but the main difference is if you're focusing on the front, you feel more muscular effort in these flexors, these cervical flexors. Right? If you feel the back of your head, it feels like your head's more centered. It even floats back a little bit. So just simply placing your attention on the back of your head can change the way that your head is behaving relative to the rest of your body. And this could be a simple strategy for you when you're walking, just to notice the back of your head and just to see how does that affect the way that you feel when you're walking. Something as simple as using your perception of hearing and listening to what's behind you or around you for that matter, but really in particular what's behind you, having that sense of spatial awareness of what's behind you, that will change the way that you're behaving, right? It'll tend to support more of the postural muscles and allow you to relax more of the muscles in the front, the flexor muscles, and that's a good thing because you can have a little more balance between the muscle systems. So if I look towards the camera and I keep looking as I turn my head, I notice that my eyes are moving relative to my eye socket, right? So it's important to be able to differentiate, look this way, look that way without turning the head. It's also important to be able to differentiate your eyes from your head, right? So that's something you could play with. Your eyes are like your intention, right? It's like your mind intention. If you just think of looking to the left, or think of looking to the left with your eyes, you'll feel that your muscles start to organize to take you in that direction, right? So eyes are really linked up to the brain, right? High density of neural innervation with the eyes, just like the tongue and the hands. Just do a few circles in the legs, right? Just some knee circles, nice and easy. Feel the ankles. Feel the knees and the hips. Good. And then one foot's in the front, in the hip crease. The other foot's in the back, here on the inside of the sits bone. And just start to turn the foot in. And feel as you make that motion, support it a little bit with your hands. Encourage the motion by pulling on the skin and slightly feeling the bones. You could start the motion from the heel, right? If you turn the heel, then it's mainly like you feel the knee that's involved, right? You could focus here on the hip, right? That gets you a little more into the ball and socket joint. But you could also kind of focus on the pelvis structure itself, the sacrum as well, the base of your spine. So if you just kind of feel that area could start to open up, you feel a little bit of movement. Very little. We're just talking about degrees. But the point is that you can feel that your leg can connect with the pelvis, right? If you can feel the leg connects with the pelvis, you can feel that your leg connects with the spine, right? And that's one of the key things for you to start to feel like your walking can be more integrated. You don't want to be one of those folks who's walking and just focusing on one muscle group, like your calves or your butt, for example. You want to feel that a movement carries through the body. Remember the image of the Tai Chi body, the image of a bow with the arms, a bow with the spine, and a bow with the legs. Right? That image is connected. So if you start to move around in different patterns, you can still carry that image with you so that you can sense and feel and visualize that your system is connected. Right? You start to shift your weight like you're going to take a step. I still have that image of a bow, right? So I can feel my arms are connected to my spine. It's not just my shoulder. My right arm is connected to my left arm, and my left leg is connected to my right leg, right? And they're connected by way of the pelvic floor and the pelvic structures, as well as my chest, neck, and throat. Switch legs. Right? You don't need to imitate what I do. What's important is that you feel what you do. Right? We'll just go sideways here. Arms are connected. Shoulder blades are connecting the arms to your back. Just feeling different movements. Hips gliding. Legs are connected. right? Everything's connected. Finding different ways to establish a sense that your body's connected. And after you play around with this, whether you're doing it standing, you're doing it sitting, or you're doing it lying on the floor, rolling, crawling, doing different types of activities, have that broader picture of yourself, right? A Tai Chi body, perhaps just thinking of yourself as a cylinder or a sphere, right? But have a broader picture of yourself so that you can let go of your perception that you are a person who has this problem, right? You have arthritis or you have some kind of problem like you have spasticity or this or that. Give yourself a different choice, a different narrative, so that in essence, you can experience yourself as a whole person, right? That's, in short, the essence of this work, is for us to learn to experience ourselves as being whole. Because like it or not, most of us at some point in our lives, if we live long enough, are going to lose our functional capacity, right? We'll lose our ability to walk, we'll lose our ability to stand, and ultimately we'll lose our ability to breathe and we'll die. And that's just the way it is. But along the way, you can still learn to appreciate your life by coming at life as if you're a whole individual, which you are, right?